Hello, Ospreys. Welcome to this week's episode of the Swoop Scoop. I'm Alex Rodriguez.
And I'm Michelle Gonzalez, bringing you some news that flew under our radar this week. The coronavirus outbreak continues to cause panic worldwide as the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 to be an official pandemic. WHO urged all countries to act aggressively in order to contain the spread of the virus. Cities around the nation are joining global counterparts in the decision to ban large gatherings, and President Trump has made an announcement that he is restricting all European travel to the U.S. Even those here at the University of North Florida are feeling the effects as classes have moved online until further notice. WHO's chief Tedros Ghebreyesus is hopeful that, quote, we can still change the course of this pandemic. Now let's see how the virus is affecting athletics. Here's Lauren Paradise with your Swoop Scoop Sports. Take it away, Lauren.
Thanks, Michelle. So we've been talking about the coronavirus for a few weeks now, but today let's talk about the effects that are happening in the world of sports. Meanwhile, the PGA Tour canceled the Players' Championship after one round and suspended play for 3 weeks. The NHL is also suspending its season, and the NBA postponed its regular season after 2 Utah Jazz players tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. On the college court, March Madness for both men and women's basketball is canceled, and all spring sports have been canceled too. That's not all that's happening in Formula One car racing. The Grand Prix in Australia, Bahrain, and Vietnam are also canceled. In championships, League Soccer World Cup qualifying is postponed with a huge matchup between Manchester City and Real Madrid still on the books to play, and Premier Soccer announced Arsenal manager Micah Arteta tested positive. And back in the U.S., many professional athletes are not looking forward to playing to an empty stadium, but officials have moved opening day back at least 2 weeks. Lastly, in Japan, the big worry is about the Olympics, where the games could get canceled altogether, affecting more than 15,000 athletes from around the world who might miss out on their only chance to compete in the Olympic Games. No matter what happens, fans, no fans, you can bet there's millions of dollars at stake here, but we'll keep you updated on the latest on Inside Swoop and 90 Sports. That's all we have for sports. Let's head back to you, Alex.
Last week on Inside Swoop and 90, we reported on the rival leaders in Afghanistan who were both sworn in as president in 2 separate ceremonies. This caused a lot of confusion concerning the future of the peace deal signed by the U.S. and the Taliban. In an update to the situation, AP reports that both presidents are still acting as leaders, but President Ghani has promised to release 1,500 Taliban prisoners as a goodwill gesture to begin intra-Afghan negotiations. But even if the Taliban choose to begin negotiation, the capital of Kabul would still struggle to present a united negotiation team, since Ghani's presidential rival Abdullah refuses to accept any other political positions. Washington's peace envoy Khalilzad is struggling to unite the fractious leaders and has not given indication on when the two sides might unite. Now, let's head back over to Lauren with some important entertainment news.
After a lengthy legal battle, Harvey Weinstein is going to prison for 23 years. The 67-year-old Hollywood producer received a near maximum punishment after being convicted for a criminal sex act and rape. His accusers praised the decision, calling it long overdue. After imposing the sentence, Judge James Burke said, quote, although this is a first conviction, this is not a first offense. Weinstein broke his courtroom silence during the sentencing in what AP describes as a rambling plea for mercy, claiming to be totally confused by the hashtag #MeToo movement. Well, that's all I've got for entertainment. Back to you, Michelle.
Last Wednesday, 2 U.S. troops and 1 British service member were killed when 18 rockets were launched at a military base in Iraq. The attack came the same day President Trump was barred from launching a military attack against Iran without explicit permission from Congress. On Thursday, U.S. defense leaders threatened to strike in retaliation against an Iranian-backed Shia militia group in Iraq. As AP reports, they think they know who launched the rockets. Defense Secretary Mark Esper told Pentagon Press that President Trump has given him the authority to do what he needs to do, stating, quote, you don't get to shoot at our bases, kill and wound Americans, and get away with it. According to AP, these rapidly unfolding events have signaled a renewed spike in tensions with Tehran 2 months after Iran's ballistic missile strike.
While the U.S. is trying to control tensions in the Middle East, Africa is working to control a locust outbreak in the region, which the UN Food Agency calls a threat to their food security.
Well, locusts have been estimated by experts to be capable of destroying at least 200 tons of vegetation per year.
Exactly. So to combat the issue, they're using a supercomputer donated by Britain that uses satellite data to track swarms and predict their next move. The key is to share the information with regional authorities as quickly as possible, since even a small swarm of locusts can move almost 100 miles and consume crops that would otherwise feed over 35,000 people. A climate scientist in Nairobi's Climate Center said, quote, "In this way, they are more efficient in allocating their resources and allocating financial capacity to control the desert locust."
Due to the urgency of the situation, the UN has recently decided to raise its aid appeal from 76 to 138 million.
I heard that locusts can't survive in cold weather.
You know what else hasn't been surviving in cold weather?
Is it me?
No, the Iditarod.
I did what?
The Iditarod Trail sled dog race in Alaska is the world's most famous sled dog race.
Yeah, that's right. But I haven't heard anything about it recently.
Well, that's because interest has dropped in recent years, mostly due to the decrease in the amount of cash prizes, which make it difficult for mushers to compete in such an expensive sport. PETA and other animal rights activists have also begun to put pressure on sponsorships to drop their support. Alaskan Airlines has most recently dropped theirs for the next year's race. That being said, officials are looking to breathe new life into the competition, as they've joined a sled dog racing series that features TV coverage and GPS tracking.
Let's not forget that they've also added a betting element for the first time this year, and that they plan to make some sort of fantasy application for future races.
Iditarod CEO stated, quote, "Like many sports, we are in a race for relevance."
And the mushers are currently in the race to win. The race began last Sunday, and with nearly 1,000 miles to cover, we expect a winner to cross the finish line sometime this week in Nome, Alaska.
Well, you guys, don't forget to check out our Facebook and Twitter page for weekday updates on the most important news.
That's a wrap for this episode of Swoop Scoop.
We aren't sure when we'll be back, but make sure to watch our Inside Swoop in 90 episodes starting again after spring break.
Make sure to stay safe and healthy out there, and please wash your hands.
I'm Michelle Gonzalez.
And I'm Alex Rodriguez. We'll see you next time. So we can put that like on our website or resume or whatever.